You are drawn in, aren't you? You who has always felt the weight of others' pain, the silent burden that rests too heavily upon your chest. It calls to you like a siren's song, this gift you carry, one you've been told is sacred, pure, noble. But listen closely now, for there is a truth you have yet to hear. It is not as innocent as they say. This sensitivity, this openness, this connection to the unseen, it is both your light and your shadow, a paradox that has the power to save or to destroy. You have felt it before, haven't you? That strange and overwhelming urge to absorb, to heal, to soothe. You have given your energy, your time, your soul, thinking that in doing so you are fulfilling your purpose. But what if I told you that you are not simply healing others, you are hollowing yourself out in the process? What if I whispered to you that every time you stretch your spirit to touch another's suffering, you are leaving pieces of yourself behind? The more you give, the less you have. The more you absorb, the more the void inside you grows. And the emptiness, it waits patiently just beneath the surface. Your heart, so tender, so open, is at once a gift and a vulnerability. And the world around you knows this. It calls to you to serve, to give, to heal. But the quiet danger lurking beneath is that you may give so much that you cease to exist outside the needs of others. There are parts of you that you will never reclaim once you surrender them in this endless cycle of compassion. And yet you cannot stop. You cannot help but feel everything. This is the curse of the empath, and you, my dear one, have felt it every day of your life. The question now is this: how much more will you lose before you recognize that the wound you've been healing in others is the very wound that you must face within yourself? How long can you give without the shadow of your own soul, stepping forward to claim what you've sacrificed? You have spent much of your life unaware of the forces shaping you, pulling you from the edges of your being, pushing you toward the world with a grace that masks an inner turmoil. But these forces, they are not just random happenstances, fleeting emotions, or simple patterns of thought. No, they are archetypes, eternal invisible currents that shape not just your mind, but the very fabric of your soul. And these forces are at work in you now, even as you sit here listening to the echo of this voice. You know this feeling, don't you? This endless pull to others' pain, this unspoken need to heal, to carry their burdens as your own. The empath within you, that ever-present shadow, stretches out into the world, constantly reaching, constantly giving. It is part of who you are, but it is not all of who you are. You have mistaken this part for your whole. You have identified so deeply with the healer, the savior, the rescuer, that you have forgotten the darkness that waits within. The empath's journey is rooted in a deeper truth that light and shadow exist in an eternal dance. You cannot experience one without the other. The more deeply you feel the light of compassion, the more you feel the weight of the shadow of suffering. And here lies the paradox. The more you attempt to save others from their darkness, the more you blind yourself to your own. The empath's role is not simply to heal others, but to hold the light and the dark within, to live with both the savior and the wounded in your soul. Without this balance, without seeing the shadow as clearly as you see the light, you risk falling into a state of constant depletion. But how did this come to be? Why is the empath so often unaware of the darkness they harbor? It is because of a deeper unconscious drive, a drive that stems from the wound that lives inside you. As Jung once said, the wound is the place where the light enters you. And so it is with you. There is a wound deep within you, one that you may not even recognize. It is the wound of separation, the feeling of being abandoned, misunderstood, or unloved. You carry this wound in the quiet recesses of your psyche, and it drives your constant need to prove yourself, to earn love, to heal others so that they might heal you in return. But this is not the way to healing. You cannot heal yourself by simply healing others. The wound that lies beneath your empathy is a reflection of a deeper psychological imbalance, one that emerges when you refuse to acknowledge your own suffering, when you refuse to confront the shadow within. The light you seek, the healing you long for, cannot exist without the darkness that must accompany it. There is another force at play too, The force of the narcissist, the one who demands, takes, and never gives back. The one who pulls at your energy without a thought, feeding on your compassion until you are spent. You may have felt this dynamic in your life, a subtle magnetic pull that draws you into relationships that seem to drain you, leaving you empty, lost. You may have given to them in the hopes that they would change, that your light would be enough to transform their darkness. But the narcissist is not interested in transformation. They are interested in consumption. And you, the empath, the healer, have unknowingly fed their insatiable hunger. The empath and the narcissist are not just individuals. They are archetypal forces, a dance between light and shadow, between giving and taking, between selflessness and self-centeredness. And this dance plays out not just in your relationships, but within your very psyche. You are both the healer and the wounded, both the light and the dark. To recognize this is to understand the unconscious dynamics that govern your life, to see the interplay of these forces and how they shape your actions, your thoughts, your desires. But this is not a story of helplessness. No, the story of the empath is one of transformation. The very forces that threaten to destroy you, your empathy, your giving, your wound, are the very forces that can lead you to the light. But only if you learn to recognize the shadow within, to acknowledge the wounds you have been running from. To heal the world, you must first heal yourself. This is the deepest truth you must come to understand. Your compassion, your sensitivity, your ability to feel, these are not weaknesses, they are strengths. But like any strength, they must be wielded with awareness. Without awareness, they will consume you. So now ask yourself this: how long will you continue to feed the shadows of others while neglecting the darkness that lives within you? How long will you give and give, expecting to be whole, while the pieces of your soul slip further and further away? The time has come for you to stop seeking healing outside yourself. The time has come for you to face the darkness within, to heal the wounds you have buried so deeply. This is the journey of the empath. A journey of self-recognition, of balance, of confronting the unconscious forces that shape your life. To heal, you must first understand. To understand, you must confront. And when you do, you will find that the darkness you have feared is not something to be avoided, it is something to be embraced. There is a rhythm to your life, a magnetic dance that you cannot escape, and it draws you in, pulls you close even as you resist. The forces at play within you and around you are not just patterns. They are rituals, ancient and sacred, pulling you into their depths with an inevitability that you cannot deny. You are both participant and observer, caught in the sacred drama of opposites, where the healer meets the wounded, where the light calls to the dark, where the empath faces the shadow. You know this dance, don't you? The dance that plays out in your relationships, in your deepest moments of self-reflection. It is a ritual as old as time itself, the dance between the light and the dark, the healer and the wounded. You, the empath, the bearer of light, are drawn to those who reflect your own suffering, those who need you to save them, to heal them. And yet, in doing so, you draw closer to your own wound, the one you have tried so hard to ignore, the one that lives beneath your kindness, your compassion, your giving. This is no simple attraction. This is the pull of opposites, a force that is both magnetic and destructive. The healer cannot help but seek the wounded, just as the wounded cannot help but seek the healer. It is an archetypal collision, not just a personal story, but a mythic drama unfolding, played out on the stage of your life. The empath's desire to heal, to fix, to nurture, is inextricably linked to the shadow of the wounded self. You cannot heal the world without first confronting the world within you. But here lies the danger: you may mistake this dance for something that is merely about others. You may focus so intently on the needs of those around you, their pain, their suffering, that you forget that the wound you are healing is your own. You may lose yourself in this endless cycle, thinking that your purpose is only to give, to heal, to help. And yet, as you dance this ritual of opposites, you are slowly, imperceptibly becoming something you never meant to be: a martyr to the wounds of others. The narcissist plays their part too, of course. They are not merely individuals. They are the embodiment of the consuming shadow, the one who feeds off the light of others without ever giving in return. They are the mirror to your wound, a reflection of what you fear most, the loss of yourself in the endless needs of others. The narcissist draws you in with promises of connection, of intimacy, of shared vulnerability, and you, the empath, fall into the trap. You believe that by healing them, you will heal yourself. You believe that your love, your care, your compassion will transform them. But the narcissist is not interested in transformation. They are interested only in consumption. And yet here too is the paradox. The narcissist is not merely a separate force. They are an extension of the shadow that exists within you. As Jung would say, the shadow is the greatest teacher for how to live an authentic life. The narcissist is the shadow you have yet to confront, the part of you that consumes without giving, that seeks to be validated, that is never satisfied. It is the part of you that wants to be whole without acknowledging that wholeness comes from integration, from recognizing and embracing both the light and the dark. The ritual drama continues, and you, the empath, are both the healer and the wounded, both the giver and the taker. It is a sacred paradox, a truth that lies at the heart of the journey toward individuation. You cannot heal without first facing the wound. You cannot give without first recognizing what you need. You cannot love without first loving yourself. And in this dance of opposites, you must confront the most difficult truth, that you are both the light and the shadow, the healer and the wounded. It is only when you recognize this truth that you can begin to free yourself from the endless pull of this magnetic dance. It is only when you see that the ritual is not about others, but about you, that you can begin to step outside the roles that have defined you. The healer, the savior, the martyr. These roles are not your true self. They are the masks you have worn to avoid confronting the deeper truth of who you are. And until you shed these masks, until you see the ritual for what it truly is, you will remain caught in the dance of opposites, forever drawn into the drama that both nourishes and consumes you. So ask yourself now, what role are you playing? Are you the healer, endlessly giving forever, losing pieces of yourself in the process? Or are you the wounded, searching for someone to save you, to fill the emptiness that lies within? The dance of opposites is both a curse and a gift. It is a ritual that shapes you, that draws you toward your own truth. But only when you see it for what it is can you begin to step outside of it and reclaim your power. There is a subtle, insidious pull that drags you deeper, isn't there? You recognize it now. I know you do. The need to become one with the light, to embody it, to identify with it so deeply that you lose all sense of who you were before. It is an intoxicating allure, this identification with the healer, with the savior. It feels pure, doesn't it, noble even? The world tells you that this is your role, your destiny. It praises your selflessness, your ability to empathize, your capacity to give endlessly. You are the beacon in the darkness, the lighthouse to those lost at sea. You are the light. And so you hold on to it with a desperation that echoes through every cell of your being. But listen closely, because here lies the danger. The more you embrace the light, the more you over-identify with it, the more you risk erasing the very essence of who you are. In this over-identification, you become disconnected from the full range of your being. You are not just an empath, a healer, a savior. You are also the wounded, the lost, the forgotten. When you forget this, when you lose sight of the shadow within you, you are no longer a whole being. You become a shell, a projection of the light, a mask that hides the darkness beneath. Over-identifying with the light, with the role of the healer, strips you of your sovereignty. You become consumed by the need to be seen as pure, as good as selfless, until all that remains is the hollow echo of what you think you should be. You forget your own needs. You forget your own pain. You forget your own humanity. You lose the very depth that makes you who you are. You become the mask, the persona, the archetype of the healer, but you are no longer in touch with the truth of your own soul. There is a warning here, one you must heed. The wounds you carry within you, the ones you have tried so hard to heal in others, are not to be ignored. They are part of you, And when you refuse to acknowledge them, when you bury them beneath your endless giving, they will resurface in ways you cannot control. Perhaps it will be through exhaustion, through burnout, or through relationships that drain you dry. Perhaps it will be through anger, a sharp and unexpected eruption of resentment when you feel you have given more than you can bear. Perhaps it will be through physical illness as your body begins to rebel against the strain you have placed upon it. The unconscious does not forget. It will find a way to get your attention to pull you back to yourself when you have strayed too far into the light. As Jung once said, what you resist persists. And so you resist the shadow, you resist the darkness, you resist your own wounds, and in doing so you create an imbalance that threatens to consume you. This is the danger of over-identification with the light. You push the shadow into the corners, you lock it away in the basement of your psyche, but it is always there, waiting. And the more you try to ignore it, the more it demands to be seen. Your dreams, those ancient messengers of the unconscious, may give you glimpses of this shadow. Perhaps they show you a figure, dark and looming, reaching for you in the night. Or perhaps they show you a reflection of yourself, distorted, wearing the mask of the healer yet hollow inside. Your life, too, will give you clues. Perhaps you will notice a creeping sense of emptiness, a gnawing dissatisfaction, despite all the good you are doing in the world. Perhaps you will feel a distance growing between you and those you love, as if you are not really present, as if you are too busy playing the role of the healer to truly connect with anyone. These are the warnings, the signs that you are over-identifying with the light, that you are losing touch with your true self. The truth is that you cannot heal others if you have not healed yourself. You cannot give endlessly without first replenishing your own well, and you cannot embody the light without embracing the shadow. This is the fundamental paradox of your journey, but it is not too late. You can still step back and reclaim your wholeness. You can still recognize the role you have been playing, the mask you have been wearing, and let it fall away. The healer is not all that you are. The savior is not all that you are. You are a being of light and shadow, of giving and receiving, of pain and healing. You are both the light and the dark, the healer and the wounded. And it is in the integration of these opposites that your true power lies. So now ask yourself, how much longer will you allow yourself to be consumed by the need to be seen as the healer, the light, the savior? How much longer will you deny the shadow within the wounds that are part of your human experience? The time has come for you to step back, to recenter, to reconnect with the truth of who you are. Only when you acknowledge both the light and the dark within you will you begin to heal not just others, but yourself as well. Now the moment has arrived, the moment when you must stop and face the threshold before you. You stand at the edge, staring into the unknown, the great darkness that has whispered to you from the depths of your soul. And here in this stillness you must choose. Will you continue the path you have walked, where light and shadow fight for dominion over you, where giving and receiving are distorted into an endless, exhausting dance? Or will you step forward into the doorway of transformation, into the unknown realm where true healing begins? It is a terrifying question, isn't it? The door you stand before is not an easy one to pass through. It does not promise safety nor comfort. It does not offer the illusion of control. To step through it is to acknowledge the truth of who you are, the light and the dark, the healer and the wounded. It is to step into sovereignty over your own life, to claim ownership of your pain and your power, to embrace the paradox of your existence without fear. You have lived so long in the role of the healer, the savior, the martyr. You have sacrificed pieces of yourself, hoping that in doing so you would be whole. But now you must face the truth. Healing does not come from sacrifice. It does not come from giving everything you have until there is nothing left. Healing comes from self-awareness. It comes from seeing the truth of your own wounds, the ones you have buried deep within, and allowing them to rise to the surface. Healing comes from acknowledging your limits, your boundaries, your humanity. And it comes from saying no when the world demands more than you can give. The doorway before you leads not to a place of endless giving, but to a place of self-recognition. It leads to the moment when you realize that your worth is not measured by what you give to others, but by who you are in your fullness, both light and shadow. To step through it is to step into your own power, not as a healer, not as a savior, but as a sovereign being who knows the value of their own soul. But how do you step through this door? How do you begin to unravel the tight grip that the role of the healer has over you? The answer is simpler than you might think. You must begin by turning inward, by recognizing that transformation does not come from the outside world. It comes from within. It comes from the courage to face your own wounds, your own shadows, your own fears. It comes from looking at the darkness in your soul and seeing it not as something to be afraid of, but as something to be integrated, something to be understood. You see, transformation is not about eliminating the darkness. It is not about pushing away the parts of yourself that you deem unworthy, unlovable, or flawed. Transformation comes when you embrace these parts, when you allow them to be a part of your story. As Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. This is your privilege, your calling. To become who you truly are means to embrace all parts of yourself, not just the ones that are easy to love, but the ones that terrify you, that make you feel small, that make you question your worth. The first step is recognition. You must recognize the roles you have been playing, the masks you have been wearing. You must see the healer, the savior, the martyr for what they are. Projections of your fear, your need for validation, your desire to escape your own pain. These roles have kept you safe, yes. They have allowed you to survive. But survival is not the same as living. Living requires something more. It requires authenticity, sovereignty, and the courage to say no when the world demands something that drains your very soul. Next, you must create space. Space within yourself to breathe, to exist outside the needs of others. Space to acknowledge your own limits, your own desires, your own needs. Space to honor your boundaries, to say no with love and respect, without guilt or shame. This space is sacred. It is where your true self resides, beyond the roles, beyond the expectations, beyond the stories you have been told. In this space you will find the power to heal not just others, but yourself. But it is not enough to simply create space. You must also step into it. You must take action to reclaim your sovereignty. This means saying no to the toxic relationships, the draining energies, the expectations that others place upon you. It means acknowledging that you are not responsible for the healing of the world, but for your own healing. And in doing so, you will find that the more you reclaim your own power, the more you are able to truly give, not from a place of depletion, but from a place of abundance. The doorway to transformation is not a one-time event, a single moment of change. It is a process, a continual unfolding, a deepening of self-awareness and self-love. Every step you take through this door is a step toward the fullness of who you are. And though the journey may be difficult, though it may challenge you in ways you cannot yet understand, know this. It is the only path that leads to true healing, the only path that leads to true freedom. So I ask you now, are you ready to step through the doorway? Are you ready to embrace both your light and your shadow, to claim your sovereignty, to honor your boundaries, to say no when the world asks too much? The transformation you seek lies not in the endless giving, but in the deep self-recognition that arises when you see yourself as you truly are, a being of both light and dark, worthy of love, worthy of healing, worthy of sovereignty. This is your journey, and it begins with the courage to step through the door. And now at last you stand in the quiet after the storm. The doorway you have passed through has led you here into a space where the echoes of your past no longer define you. It is not a place of absolute certainty, no. There is still darkness in the corners, still shadows waiting to be seen. But now you see them as part of the sacred whole part of the story that you are reclaiming. You have crossed the threshold, and you are no longer the person you once were. You are more. You are whole. There is power in this place. It is the power that comes when you stop running from yourself, when you stop seeking approval, when you stop defining your worth by the needs of others. It is the power that arises when you take full ownership of your being, when you honor your own pain and your own beauty in equal measure. You are not simply an empath. You are not simply a healer. You are not just the light. You are the light and the shadow, the giver and the receiver, the healer and the wounded. You are both, and it is in this balance that your true power resides. You have learned through the pain, through the sacrifice, through the endless dance of opposites, that to be whole is to embrace the fullness of your humanity. To heal is not to give until you are empty, but to give from a place of abundance, from a well that is continually replenished. To love is not to erase your boundaries, but to honor them, to say no when it is needed, and to say yes when it is right for you. You have learned that your compassion is not a weakness, but a strength, and that you can wield it with clarity, with purpose, with power. The world may still call you to heal, to give, to fix, but you no longer define yourself by these roles. You no longer need validation from others, no longer need to be seen as the savior or the martyr. You are sovereign, and this sovereignty is the greatest gift you can give yourself. It is not a rejection of others. It is not a rejection of love or compassion. It is the recognition that you are worthy of both, just as you are worthy of rest, of peace, of solitude. Your healing comes from within, and when you give it is because you choose to, not because you are compelled to. Imagine for a moment that you are standing in the stillness, surrounded by nothing but your own energy. There are no demands on you, no expectations, no need for validation. There is only the fullness of your own being, and in this space you are enough. You do not need to fix, to heal, to save. You do not need to prove yourself. You are worthy as you are in this moment, with all your wounds, all your flaws, all your imperfections. You are whole. You are complete. This is the power of sovereignty. This is the power of self-awareness. It is the ability to stand in your own truth, to honor your boundaries, to say no when you must, and to say yes when it is in alignment with your deepest self. It is the ability to love without losing yourself, to give without sacrificing your soul, to heal without erasing your own needs. This is the path you have walked. This is the transformation you have undergone. As you stand in this new space, you may find that the world around you begins to shift. Relationships may change. Some may fall away, while others may deepen in ways you never imagined. You may find that you are no longer drawn to the roles you once played, the martyr, the savior, the healer. These roles no longer define you, for you are more than them. You are the sovereign being who knows their worth, who knows the power of their own light and shadow. And in this knowing, you become a force not of depletion, but of creation. The path you have walked was never easy, and the journey you have undertaken is not over. There will still be moments of darkness, moments of doubt, moments when the dance of opposites calls to you once more. But now you know. You know that you are not defined by these forces. You are not a victim to them. You are the creator of your own path, the master of your own destiny. You are both light and shadow, both healer and wounded, and it is in this balance that your true strength lies. So now stand tall. Stand firm in your sovereignty. Know that you are worthy of love, worthy of compassion, worthy of peace. You no longer need to sacrifice yourself for others, for you are whole as you are. You are the light and the shadow, the healer and the wounded, and you are powerful beyond measure. The time has come for you to live in the fullness of your being, to honor yourself as you honor others, to give from a place of abundance, not depletion. This is your power. This is your truth. And it is from here, from this sacred space of self-awareness and sovereignty, that you will heal not just others, but yourself. And in this healing, you will find your freedom.